Yes, people, welcome back to episode, I don't know, but it's almost 52 of the Catabolic podcast.
Oh
We
shit.
have got myself and Jack here today. A little bit of one from us, so you guys might notice differences in energy, although Jack's not got too much of that because his dog's been keeping him awake. Not
Yeah.
ideal, bro. Yeah, how's it going? What you been
Good.
up to?
Other than being tired, but we run on caffeine. It's what it's what your twenties are made for, isn't it? Just having no sleep and running on caffeine. Um, but yeah, bro. Good. All in all, I'm good. How are you?
You said good about 4 times in the last 10 seconds. Nice.
I'm
Nice
out of
one.
it. I'm out of it.
How many monsters deep are you then?
Only one because it's a rest day. Because if I'm gonna I can work, like I have mental energy, but like I don't have physical energy. Like I don't really want to move from this chair. So I'm trying to save higher caffeine intakes for training days, particularly like hard ones. Because having a bunch of monsters to sit in a chair doesn't seem like a good idea. You know what I mean?
Do you order them or do you buy them like day by day?
Day by day, because I'm an idiot. Because I'll tell myself, like, if I buy a 4 pack, then for the next 4 days I'm having monsters, but then I'll have monsters for the next 10 days. So I should just get them in bulk. But also, I don't think I've ever bought a monster and not drank it that day. Like, I've bought 4 packs before and I've just ended up having 4 monsters that day, so.
That's abysmal. How do you have 4 in a day? Just put one in the fridge and then you can't have 4.
Mm.
Don't tell me you drink them without refrigerating them.
Yeah, of course I do, bro. I don't care.
That's weird.
The thing is, like,
What?
I adore caffeine. Genuinely, like, if I could if I could be running on caffeine 24/7, I would be. And I spend a lot of my day running on caffeine. Absolutely adore it. So you drink a monster, right? You wake up a bit tired, have a monster. Get your morning work done, then you drop off a little bit. It's okay, have a meal, have a monster, we're back up and going, right? Maybe an inquiry comes through and then you get on the phone. Okay, cool, now I've got to be bubbly, have a monster. Okay, inquiry's done, we're off to go train. Quick, have a monster. Oh, I'm done training. I've got to do some filming. Talk to the camera, have a monster. We're up to 5 already, you know what I mean? I'm exaggerating, but still. Each one of those things would be something in my head that would trigger me to get a monster. I live like right by this petrol station, and they're always stocked with Lewis Hamilton monsters. So I just fuck
This is
it.
why you don't have any time, bro, because you go to the petrol station
To be fair,
complaining I'm too busy. Spends all the time fucking walking over and drinking.
no, I
Imagine
don't.
how much more productive you'd be if you weren't.
I only
What
drive
you need,
there.
right, is like a big tank of Monster, like the hydration things on your back, and then get
Yeah,
that
yeah,
straw so it just comes into your mouth.
yeah.
I don't think they'd taste as good, if it was for a straw.
No, no way.
I
The
think they
thing
would.
in my defence, right? It's on the way to Graftism, this petrol station, like on the way, and it's on the way back, obviously as well. So I literally just pick them up as I go, and that petrol station as well is like my nearest place for food. So if I run out of bagels, which happens routinely, and I'm like, fuck, I need them stat, then I'll go to the petrol station and buy them overpriced because it's literally like 2 seconds. But then I'll end up getting a monster as well. And then when I refill my car as well, because you're already spending like 50, 60, 70 quid on petrol, you're like, £2 for a monster, sure, bro, why not? Then you end up getting a monster.
Do you do a Ben Henson where you have it post workout?
No, is he doing that?
Yeah, man, he does that. I've seen him do it all the time.
Oh, no, no.
Rather like on the way back from the gym, so he's feeling productive after he's trained.
No, no, no. Everything, like, so I separate my day in this is from TM Cycles. It's great for anyone who's trying to do productivity. Separate your day into hard work and soft work, right? The hard, stay with
This
me.
sounds so gay already.
Stay with me. Stay with me. The hard work is like the shit that is like really, really hard, requires your attention, is like quite mentally demanding. And then the soft work is less demanding, right? So if we're talking about coaching, hard work would probably be like your check-ins, form feedback, calling people, shit, or like this podcast to an extent I would count as hard work because it's being filmed. You have to be a little bit on it, like the type of shit that you wouldn't want to do.
On it.
Yeah, bro.
You've been so far today, jeez.
I'm knackered. This is me trying to be on it for an hour or 45 minutes. And then soft work might be like you've got a client where they want a new meal suggestion or rate of gain is slowed. You're just going to quickly
I'll
drop
just
some
tell him to
calories.
suck it up.
Yeah,
Like what?
sorry, bro. Or
Like
or,
I'm supposed to
or,
be helping, mate. They
or
just
you.
don't want it back.
Yeah, exactly, bro. We actually no, we just double the price. If anyone complains, immediately double the price. Or like, you get a message like, "Oh, seated ham curl is out of order now," and little tiny little things, or just people sending you a message of like, "Here's my pump pics" or whatever, and just general WhatsApp work. That stuff's soft work. I do all my hard work before the gym, and then I go to the gym, and then I know that after that I haven't got anything too crazy. It's just kind of like nice, chill stuff that doesn't feel like work.
Is the gym hard work or soft work?
It depends on the day, and it
Is work
depends
at
on
all?
the lift. I do
Well,
see it.
if it's legs, it's definitely soft work.
For me, at the minute, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I've had the worst luck. Right, my rehab was going so well, and I did my normal rehab routine. Did a little quad stretch afterwards. Felt fine. Think like my quads are super tight. Really, really tight. Really hurt. Okay. Woke up the next day, VMO in agony. I was like, shit. I was walking down the stairs and I had to lift my right leg up. I had to jump down the stairs on one leg. I've pulled the fuck out of my right VMO. It is in bits. I sat here at 90 degrees of knee flexion and it fucking hurts, bruv. It's yeah, not good. So I
Do you
pulled the
remember
fuck out
when
of
I
my
did
VMO.
that? When I just messed it up out of
Yeah.
nowhere?
Oh my god. Yeah.
So weird, man. Like I was
How
just
long did
chilling.
how long did it take
Yeah,
to
I
get
was
back?
like 3 days.
Oh fuck, mine's been like a week, bruv. It's still not happy.
Yeah, yours is slightly different because you've got granddad knees. Anyway, uh, this is going to be a really convenient segue. Well, it would have been until I said this. But what you were talking about earlier with the monster, what
Yeah.
that is like it's there on the way to the gym. It's there on the way back. It's a situation where the friction is really, really low. Like you'll probably go into the petrol station anyway. You need fuel, you
Mm.
need bagels, whatever. Like it's not hard to go and pick up a monster. Whereas if it was 5 miles out of your way, you're not going there every day.
Yeah.
Just and that's a really interesting thing that I talk about with clients. It's like, okay, this gym might not be so good, but it's like right next to your work or it's on your way home. It
Yeah.
saves you half an hour. You're so much more likely to go there than if it's pain in the ass. Like take your clothes with you as well, that sort of thing.
That's like
Why are you
no no
well,
no.
that's not
I don't know, fucking, I don't know. Some mate, you're just a funny guy when I say that is a really classic example. Like the classic example I always say to people is, if you're dieting or prone to snacking and you go to the shops hungry, like don't ever go shopping hungry. To be fair, unless you're bulking,
bro.
but
That's why they have bakeries in the supermarket, so that it
yeah,
makes smell makes you hungry and you buy more food.
if you walk into Lidl and immediately it's like it's open, just grab it. Bunch of donuts, bunch of pastries, like yeah, that's a very good point. Is about for me like getting a monster is so fucking easy because it's like right there on the way. But granted, as well, the thing to bear in mind is there's also a Subway, there's also a Greg's there. And so there was a time when I was coming out of the diet where I just would avoid the petrol station at all. If I was going to get a monster, I'd go to Tesco's because if I went there for a monster, it's like, well, there's a Greg's right there, there's a Subway right there. Why don't I get something like that? And then it would be like that would play with my head. So I didn't drink as many monsters because I didn't go there, and I would go somewhere else. But to me, that like if I'm gonna cave for something, caving for a monster isn't too bad. If I cave for like a giant fucking Krispy Kreme, that's not as ideal. But I don't mind caving for a monster. That's fine with me.
You're so bad at endearing. Fucking hell.
Oh mate, literally, since Christians coached me, you know where it says like stimulant cut off 1 p.m. ideally. There has been 1 week in the 24 that we've worked together where I did that for a full week. There's been 1 week. The only time that I ever manage that is on rest days, where my final monster, my final monster will be at like 1 or 12. But most days I have pre at like 3 or 4 p.m. But I'm sleeping okay. So
Right, Jack. This is going to be really revolutionary for you. I don't know if this is anything that you've ever heard before, right? But have you heard of non-stim pre-workout?
I have, yeah, I have, and I have
Have you
heard
not
of
tried it?
I have heard of the concept of a hypocrite as well.
Yeah, yeah. You're on the phone to clients, right? We really need to sort this caffeine intake out. Yeah, but I bet that's what Christian says to you, and we know that he's an absolute fiend for a monster.
He hasn't actually brought it up because there's other things to focus on, such as the knee rehab. such as food on the weekends was quite a big one for me because I don't see my girlfriend a lot during the week. And then at the weekend, we'd see each other, and she'd be like, "I can't be asked to cook. Should we go get this food, that food?" And there were a few weeks where, yeah, I just fucked my rate of gain by going out too much on the weekends. So the biggest focus for us at the minute, which again, if you're like shows what coaching is, he's not worried about me having caffeine at 3 p.m. He's not worried about me, not having like a ton of steps on a busy work day. He's more focused on like nutritional adherence and how my fucking knee is, because those are the most important things. Which, by the way, nutritional adherence has been really good, and Christian's very proud, and I'm very proud as well.
Yeah, and that's that whole thing of like, don't major in the minors. Look at the stuff which is going to have the biggest impact ever. Like, the majority of the time when I do a new setup, I don't recommend any supplements for them to take, because if they're already in a position where they're, like, to put it bluntly, eating fucking awfully, not training very well, and getting 4 hours of sleep, like, taking a vitamin D supplement really isn't going to do that much. Like, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
No matter how many you take, like, it's just not going to do anything. And you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck from, like, looking at the shit that actually matters, because funnily enough, it actually matters.
Yeah, even if you took someone who is horrific at tracking and you just put them in a calorie range, if you were like, just get as close to 2,500 as you can most of the time and get in a minimum of like 150 protein or whatever, I'm happy. And then over time you can be like, right, can we make our range smaller? Can we, try and refine it to, okay, we are just having this. Yeah, that's a really good point, is you can't just, there's a million things to cover, and if like me and Luke applied all of our knowledge all of the time to everyone, including ourselves, we drive ourselves insane. Like, how many times is it that you fuck up a meal timing and then you just get the meal in anyway and you're like, yeah, that's fine? But whereas if we were sat there like, oh my god, this meal has to be consumed exactly halfway between this meal and this meal, we just wouldn't have a life.
And most of our clients would just say, fuck off, like, this is too overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like,
it's different for every person as well. Like, if I was coaching somebody like me, for example, the finer shit is more important because everything else is already on lock. Not to blow my own trumpet. You know what? That's a really weird expression, isn't it? Blow your own trumpet.
It does sound a bit sexual.
Fucking blowing someone else's trumpet, wouldn't it? Like, what?
Well, there's the expression like blow smoke up someone's ass or whatever it is. Blowing smoke. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird. It is weird, yeah. But it's a skill to look at, like, right, what's the biggest thing for improvement? The same applies to, like, when you're looking at someone's technique. If their control is all over the place versus their exercise setup's a little bit off, like, we're going to say, right, can we slow this down?
Yeah.
About this tempo. I learned this from Paul as well. Like, if he's doing the form feedback on Lou, he'll just count the numbers, and then after a couple, he's like, can you see how we're not quite following the prescribed tempo?
Yeah. No, that is a really good point. I used to, I still do, with some clients, if I know their full name and the number of syllables in it, I'll be like, say your name. Because most people's names, including a middle name, have like 3 or 4 syllables. So if you're really trying to slow them down, I'll be like, repeat your full name. Like, Luke, what actually is your middle name? I don't even know.
I don't have one, bro. I'm not loved. All I can think of is that song now. I can't remember. I listened to it the other day.
What song's that?
The, like, R&B one where it's like, say my name. What is it?
Outrageous. Is it? If you did tempo to my name, that's 6 syllables. My full name is 6 syllables.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
Do you know my middle name?
Dickhead.
It's coached. Probably. It's coached by.
Muppet.
Yeah, mate.
Muppet. Right, going back to the topic, lowering friction. What you want to do if you're, like, struggling to do something, is, wow, that's I ripped you for saying good earlier, and I just said do a load. Anyway, you want to make the thing that you're trying to do easier than what you're currently doing. So, like, if you're struggling with eating and snacking on a load of stuff that's in the house, right, well, it's pretty fucking easy to eat, isn't it? Because it's in the house, it's in the cupboard. You're like, oh, I'm bored, I don't really want to do this work, I'm going to go to the kitchen and pop open some Pringles or whatever it may be. Side note, crisps are fucking awful food in general. Like I just don't like them. They all suck. Yeah, Jack's face. It's like, oh my god,
Outrageous
bro.
statements
That
only.
face looks like I've just like slide tackled King, and you're just like, what the fuck? That's how that face.
Slide tackle my dog, holy shit.
Yeah, you're like, what is going on?
Oh, my
What
days.
is going?
Yeah,
But yeah, you want to look at that situation and say, whatever you don't want to do, how can I make it as physically hard as possible? So a good start is not buying those things, because then they're not in the cupboard. But if you don't want to go to, I don't know, if you call that an extreme, the other people in your family have it, why don't you put all of your food in a cupboard so you only see the stuff that's sort of on your meal plan or on your regular rotation of food, whatever you want to have, and then the other stuff is in different cupboards, or you put it in the fridge or the freezer outside the house, if some people have that, versus the one that's in the house, because you're like, oh, it's cold, I don't want to go outside, it's not worth it.
Yep.
Jack, you're going to talk while I start eating my oats.
Yes, so kind of touching on what Luke said there, like when I was dieting and I was working. Oh, very nice. So when I was dieting and I was working.
That does not look good. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, to a bodybuilder, that looks yummy.
Yeah.
The worse the meal looks, the yummier it probably tastes. What is it? Oats and chocolate?
Bro, this guy that I follow, right?
Yeah.
He
I'm not ready for this.
made chicken, rice, and raspberries the other day. I was looking at that. I'm like, what is this, bro?
Brev.
He said it tastes nice, but I can't bring myself to try it.
No.
He was like, it's just like cream of rice, except I'm using rice, not cream of rice.
Then why you put chicken in it then? Rice and raspberries, I feel like I could back.
Wait, no. I might be slandering him, to be fair. I can't remember if there is chicken in there, but it'd be definitely weirder if he put whey in it. So
Yeah, that is worse.
yeah.
So when I was dieting and working from my parents' home, and like obviously I couldn't just chuck out certain foods because they had their foods. I would prep all my meals ahead of time.
First.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fuck 'em. No, I used to prep all my meals ahead of time. I would just not be in the kitchen, so I would like work in my room. I'd work somewhere else. You know, like if we were sitting down to like spend some family time together, instead of doing it in like the little kitchen dining room bit, go do it in the living room. I just didn't spend any time in the kitchen. I mean, you could get extreme with it. Like you could literally, like, if you really struggle with snacking, I mean, you could fucking prep like your squash in advance so that you don't have to go to the kitchen at all. And I would cook and meal prep, not in between meals. I would do it while I was having one of my favorite meals, like while eating it. So there's no temptation to pick at the food that I'm making. And then once it was there, literally, it was just like, I didn't think, like, walk into the kitchen, it's time to eat, grab my food, eat my food, leave. That was it. That was the entire process. So, like Luke's going on about removing the friction of things. Another thing I quickly wanted to touch on that I use with a lot of clients is mindfulness while you're eating, or a lack of mindfulness when you're eating. So if we take Luke right now, right, he's eating, but he's not really doing anything else. If he wasn't on the podcast right now and he was dieting, this would be a great thing to do, because really taking your time, really appreciating your food makes you enjoy it more, makes you feel more full, and it takes away that kind of like absent-minded staring at your phone while you eat. However, right, and I've got clients like this, if you're really trying to bulk, eat absent-mindedly all the time. When I was bulking and my food was really, really high and it was like 5,000 plus or 5.5 plus or whatever the fuck it was, I would never, ever, ever eat and do nothing. I would watch YouTube, I would talk to people, I would be doing shit, I would in between check-ins, like throw like a spoonful of like whatever the fuck in my mouth, handfuls of raspberries, homemade tortilla chips, like literally whatever. There was never a time where I was like sat down to really focus on my food, because the food was such a large portion and my appetite wasn't there, that I would distract myself from what I was doing to make it feel like I wasn't eating. And if you look at the habits of people who tend to be very overweight or obese, it usually is that they sink these large portions of food while not paying attention to what they're doing. Like sit in front of the TV and just like scrounge an entire Domino's pizza, and before you know it, the whole pizza's gone. Whereas if you sit there and think about each and every slice.
One person ever that's not finished the popcorn at the cinema.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
Exactly.
They don't exist.
Exactly, that's a perfect example. You're just there for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're not thinking about it. Whereas if I put you in a room for 3 hours and gave you a box of popcorn, you probably would get bored, or by the time you finish the popcorn, you'd be like, right, I want to fucking do something. I can't be asked to just sit here and eat food. And if you're eating like 4 or 5 times a day, 6 times a day, and you're just eating nothing else, you won't want to eat because you'll be like, okay, it's nice, like I get hungry, but it's also kind of boring. And I think when you start to kind of distract yourself from your food and like start watching YouTube and shit, that's when that absent-minded lack of enjoyment for food is so easy. It's so easy to eat a meal, watch a YouTube video of someone else eating a meal, and then be like, damn, I could really go for another meal. You know what I mean? So if you're bulking and your appetite's low, don't like distract yourself while you eat. And if you're dieting and you find yourself snacking or you find yourself struggling with just appetite in general, pay attention to your food, bulk up your meals, really chew it, really enjoy it. Just think about like, what am I eating? What flavors can I taste? If you take that mindfulness approach, you will be amazed the difference in satisfaction post meal and the lack of like, give me another one, because you actually took the time to enjoy what you fucking had. Luke's still eating. Do you want me to keep going, bro?
Oh, I didn't. I just dropped oats on myself. I was like,
Mate, I'm so jealous you can eat oats. I've realised, I don't know if I talked about this before, but like, you know, I'm intolerant to onions and garlic. I'm really intolerant to onions and garlic. I didn't realise how bad it was. I had like risotto with my girlfriend and I jumped up 4 pounds and it was 200 calories under my target for the day.
that's mental.
I know! Bruv, this is what I mean about my weekend eating with Christian, because he's like, you need to start eating foods that digest well for you. And so Chloe will like start making a meal and she'll put garlic in the pan and then she'll put butter in the pan. I'll be like, no, you got to take the garlic out and you've got to use olive oil, because otherwise my body weight just fucking, like last week I was like 198 and this week I'm 194 on average. I've lost 4 pounds because my digestion's finally cleared. It's ridiculous, bruv. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, I can hit a calorie target, but if I pick anything that doesn't agree with me, then I'm a goner.
Yeah, I'm going back to what you were saying about finding something to occupy yourself while you are like eating a meal when you're struggling. I think you have to be careful what it is, because if it was my phone, what I'd do would just be scrolling, looking at stuff, and then I go, oh shit, I haven't had a bite of anything in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So watching something, I feel like is a bit better, because you're almost like you're looking at the thing directly, and then you're eating.
Well, also the food selection side of things. So I used to like everyone gave me shit for this, but I loved it at the time. I would take tortillas, like a whole pack of tortillas, rip them up into like Dorito shaped, like little triangles. Dorito shaped. I'm so fat. Rip them up into triangles. It's a triangle, dickhead. It's not a Dorito. Fucking hell. Rip them up into triangles. And then I would air fry it. And instead of just using tortilla chips, which were like just covered in oils and fats and not really ideal stuff, I would just make my own. And I would just literally absent-mindedly, just like popcorn, just grab and like put it into my mouth. And that's easier to eat than having like a big bowl of rice, even if it was the exact same volume. Having finger food, having something that you can pick at and reach at and kind of snack on, something that's easier to deal with than, yeah, like digging your fucking spoon into a big bowl of oats. So it depends as well, if you want to make, depending on where you're at in your fucking, where your calories are at, whether you're trying to keep appetite high or low, what foods you pick and how easy they are for you personally to eat is going to play a big role. Like, I could probably walk around the room with my fucking tortillas and just keep chomping, whereas a big bowl of rice, that's a little bit more inconvenient.
Yeah, I get you. Do you think finger foods is a bit of a weird phrase?
Yeah.
Like, it is a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're like, what is it meant to me? Is it meant to be like because it's finger size, or it's like you could pick it up with your fingers? Like, what does that? What does it actually mean?
You can pick it up. I reckon it came from chocolate fingers. Do you know what I mean?
What, you reckon that came first? I'm looking it up.
Put it into ChatGPT and it'll be like, yeah, the phrase finger foods was invented in 1375.
It came from the Middle Ages, bro, from France. I think this is a bit before chocolate fingers.
That's mad. I was thinking in my head that it would, like, I was going to add that it was from France. That's so weird.
Because of hors d'oeuvres. Most of them originate in hors d'oeuvres, such as canapé.
Oh, so it's like posh people finger food, right? Okay.
During the Middle Ages, formal French meals were served with entremets between the serving of plates. I don't fucking know, bro. It's an old saying. Older than
That's
us,
mental.
by a little
That's
bit.
mental. So when you are watching stuff to distract yourself from what you're doing, what are your like go-to things to watch?
Oh, what a good question. It depends on, okay, if this is if I'm bulking to distract myself from eating, okay, that's very different to if I'm dieting. Um, if I'm bulking,
If you're dieting, it's definitely mukbangs.
no, if I'm dieting, I actually watch really sad documentaries, as fucked up as it sounds, um,
Mm.
because it makes me
Okay.
grateful for what I have. You know what I mean? Because you'll sit there and you'll be like, "Oh, I'm on 2,000 calories. I'm really hungry," and then you're watching a documentary about someone who like has a brain injury, and you're like, "You know what? I'm just happy to be alive." And also, it's quite good to like, get out of the fucking bodybuilding bubble of like, "Oh, 2,000 calories. It's so low. I'm dieting. I'm hungry," and instead look at like the real world and be like, "I'm doing this for fun and it's a hobby and it's all lighthearted." But if I'm bulking, usually it will be I need something quite high energy to keep my focus, so it doesn't feel like my food is a drag. So maybe someone training, if I'm feeling quite excited about training. It might be like a video game. Spoke about video games before, um, or it might be like a YouTuber documentary on some dumb shit. But normally something light-hearted and bubbly and fun.
Have you watched Birth Gap?
No, what the
It's a
fuck is
documentary.
that?
So it's about this guy who used to work in car sales, and he was like looking at predictions of how many cars they're going to need to sell in however many years and that sort of thing. And to do that, he was looking at population data,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was like, hang on a second, like there's so many less kids being born, and as we
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a lot of people that are getting older and older.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially the idea between this is how many kids we need to have to replace the amount of people on the planet, and like this is how many kids we're having at the moment. So at some point, there's not going to be that many people, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. Watch it. Trust me.
Isn't that to an extent? I mean, if things get carried away, that's not good. But like, isn't that to an extent good because we're a bit overpopulated? I'd rather there be maybe the debate for everyone. I'd rather we solved overpopulation by creating less than destroying more. You know what I mean? Like people talk about overpopulation as like, oh, we need to kill a bunch of people. Like, no, I think that's mean. I think it's better to just create less people, create less new people. I think that's less of a crime than killing current people. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, like I find that argument hilarious. It's like there's too many people on the planet. I'm like, okay, are you volunteering
Yeah,
yourself to
exactly,
go,
bro.
or
Exactly,
like
yeah.
what's going on here? Um, what exactly do you want out of this situation? Because that seems like where it's going.
Who was it? Christian that did I hallucinate that? Or did Christian say on the podcast? It was like start with yourself or something. Didn't we talk about that? Oh my god, fucking bonkers.
I don't
Someone
think
said
so.
that. Where they were like, I hate when people
No,
say that, like fucking start with yourself, mate. Someone said that, I forget. Maybe it
in
was
what context? As in, like,
as in people talking about oh there's so many people on the planet, we should start killing people, or we'd be better off with less people.
I mean, there are a lot of people that are literally fucking waste of space. I'm not gonna.
Us two for one, bro. Let's go.
Yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely, absolutely, get rid of it. But
Eating all
yeah,
the
bro,
chicken.
that's a really interesting documentary. I think you should watch that.
Will do, bro.
I don't really watch anything related to fitness on YouTube now.
Yeah,
Like
when
it might be like adjacent in the sense of like its productivity,
mm,
which usually stems from fitness in some degree, but it's not like blatantly
mm. Oh,
Can you still hear me?
yep,
Can you
you're
hear me?
back now, mate.
Do you hear what I said?
No.
Oh, I said I've been finding Piers Morgan interviewing people really funny because he's like one of the few people that actually challenges like what people say rather than just like, yeah, that's cool. It's so funny.
Yeah,
He
true.
just put out an interview with Andrew Tate, and it's fucking the best hour and a half of my life I've ever spent.
Really.
Andrew's like tears rolled down my face, but I did not cry. And Piers is like, that's crying. Yeah, man,
What?
it's so good. But especially with how much of our life is involved in fitness, it's good to look at something else.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Yeah, when like, because we go and we train, and then our job is to help people train, and then it's like if you need a little bit of escapism from it sometimes. Otherwise, you don't. If we burn out on training, we're fucked. Like that's kind of, yeah, game over, unfortunately. So we have to fucking watch videos about Pokemon and shit.
Legit. Legit.
Let's get it.
Fuck
Um,
off. Oh my god. Have you got anything to rant about this week?
um, Rant about? I don't know. Not particularly. I had a good catch up with a guy from my gym, Joe Gillen. Shout out Big Joe. He's 15 days out from his first show, and we had a big old rant there, about the industry. So I feel like I've got my rant out. But
What was your rant?
yeah, I can somewhat
Speed is.
paraphrase it. It's
Okay.
I've spoken on it a little bit before, but
No
it's
pressure. Hurry up.
oh, it's it's about like it's okay to just pursue muscle mass and not be a bodybuilder. Like it's you don't need to compete. Like it's okay. It's fine. There's no glory in starting a prep and failing it because you never really wanted to prep. You know, it's okay to be like, no, I don't want to compete. It's not for me. That's fine. You're not a pussy. You just don't want to compete. You just know what you want. That's fine. And I think there's too many people forcing bodybuilding because they see people who are good at bodybuilding or who like bodybuilding doing it well or somewhat easily. Like you see people in prep who are like, yeah, this prep's been really, really smooth. And their idea of smooth is like constant 24/7 drag, but they're kind of used to it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like their idea of smooth is your idea of fucking hell, kill me. But they've experienced so much worse. So for them, they're like, oh yeah, this prep was actually really quite manageable. And I think that when they see people making shit look so effortlessly, making shit look so effortless, it's like they think they can do it. And everyone, if you want to go for it, go for it. But it's not for everyone, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be for you. And like, yeah, that's the main thing that like I wanted to kind of get across is like I've got clients who train very, very similarly and periodize very, very similarly to bodybuilders, but they're not bodybuilders and they don't want to compete, and that's okay. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah. I think you can tell when people don't want to do it and they're forcing themselves as well.
Yeah.
Usually they're the people that get off stage and are straight at the buffet, and that's what they're most happy about. They're happy that prep is over.
Yeah.
And they've finished it if they finish it in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely get what you mean there, bro. And it's this conversation I've had with quite a few people as well. Like, there's this one guy I know from sort of my local area, and he's pretty fucking big. And he was saying, like, I don't want to compete. Like, it doesn't interest me. I'm like, sound?
Can't. Like,
Yeah. Like, cool.
competing is like getting skinned inside out, getting critiqued, going up in your pants, getting a spray
Your
tan
dick's
with...
not working for 3 months.
Exactly. Getting a spray tan with your cock in a sock. Being ravenously hungry after the show. Like, people think that, oh, prep's over, I'm not going to be hungry. No, buddy. You're going to be hungry for, like, many, many months. And the idea is, if you want to do another show or if you want to grow, you're going to stay very fucking hungry for a very fucking long time. And you also need to, like, be somewhat interested in posing and, like, how you present yourself. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go into show day. And I think... You know, like speaking to someone like Joe, the guy's fucking inside out. If you like haven't seen his Instagram already, the guy's crazy, and like he's someone who, yeah, I'd say he's made to prep because he just doesn't give a shit about how he feels. He's like, the look is the look, and the look is good, and I'm doing this for the look, and like he's like, you could tell me to just not eat from now until show day, and I just fucking do it. It's like, fair enough, bro. But yeah, don't force it. Don't force it. Like. I'd rather see more people. I have more respect for people if they were like, I don't want to do it, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I have more respect for that than people being like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be sick, and then they pull out. You know, if you're gonna do it, do it.
Yeah. Do you want my rant for the week?
Go on.
Okay, bro. Right, you might have seen this, but it's something along the lines of like. Wait, have I spoke about this before? If I've spoke about this before already, I might have just forgotten to take it off my notes for the week. But did we talk about it? It was something like if you've got sloppy form and you train hard, you'll get better results than someone who has perfect form and doesn't train hard. Have we spoke about that?
Maybe, but not recently, so it's good enough.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. This was like last week, and I was seeing loads of people share this sort of thing
Yeah.
as if it was like some sort of revelation from God. Like as if it's not an obvious fact. Of course, if you train harder and you have like shit form, you're going to get better results than someone who looks like they're doing it out of a textbook. Like this isn't amazing news. But what people hear when they read that sort of thing is, okay, form doesn't matter then, which isn't the point of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh yeah, like let's just do whatever. Like, why can't you do both? It's
Yeah.
like when people say, "Oh, why would I do more sets with less intensity when I could do less sets and more intensity?" Just fucking do both.
Yeah. It's like that idea of like a false dichotomy. I think Kuba says it best where he's like, fucking training to failure with shit form is a cop out, like you're being a pussy. And training with great form but no intensity is a cop out, you're being a pussy. Hard training is hard because you're doing both. Like like if as soon as the set gets hard you get sloppy, congrats, you're a pussy. Like you're just making it easier on yourself. Why are you making it sloppy? Because it's easy. That's why. Because if I just fucking throw it, then I'm throwing it. I'm like not doing anything. If the reps towards the end of the set are just involving as much musculature as I can, that's completely unrelated, then what the fuck am I trying to do? You're just getting reps for the sake of saying you got more reps, and that's not what training is. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah, it's like when people rest at the top of a leg press or whatever it may be, just to get another one.
yeah,
It's like you're actually reaching failure. You're just flirting with it.
yeah, literally, like people love to go into one of two camps, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, so you're telling me intensity is more important?" It's like, yeah, intensity is more important, but why, when you hear that, are you then like that means I can have shit form? Because that's not what we're saying. Like,
Yeah, it's just laziness at the
here's
end of the
form,
day.
here's intensity with form. Why would you not do intensity with form? Like, learning intensity is arguably the harder thing. So if you can train hard, congrats, you're already like way ahead. Now all you need to do is just not be a pussy towards the back end of the set and actually keep tension on the target muscle. Like when you're doing a barbell squat, as a classic example, you see people fucking kicking their hips out, and it's like, no, keep your chest up. Like your quads hurt, good, make them hurt more. Keep going.
Rep 1 to 5 is a barbell squat. Rep 5 to 10 is a good morning.
Yeah, and it's like,
Five every
yeah,
two
yeah,
exercises. What?
yeah. It's like, congrats, you're like you. They'll be like, oh, I see it all the time. Like
They'll
people,
say, "Why are my quads not growing?"
yeah, you see people on a hack squat, they get shallower and shallower, and then they get off, and you're like, what was that set for? And they're like, quads, and you're like, no, it fucking wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was for your ego.
Oh, I love random. So good.
Yeah, that is annoying. People love to cling to one thing. Like, if if one thing was the answer, then we would just preach it all the time. Every single reel would just be like, fuck everyone else, just train hard, just train hard, just train hard. But that's not the best advice. It's not the best advice from an injury standpoint, from a gain standpoint, from an anything standpoint. Like, unfortunately, the answer is a bit more nuanced. And that's.
Yeah, but it's sexy to say like this is the one answer to everything, and you see it absolutely everywhere. I think I've drafted this, like when I just write a couple of things out on my story,
Yeah.
like just on a background or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just random thoughts that I have in the moment, but it's like people don't question when there's a really, really simple, when someone's presenting a really simple solution to a complex problem.
Mm.
Like if you're struggling to lose weight, Jack, okay, just eat less and move more. Great. Fucking brilliant. Thank you, Luke. That's so helpful, because trying that has already worked for me, hasn't it? No, it hasn't. Like it clearly hasn't worked. So saying that doesn't do anything over the long term. Like what we do is actually break it down in terms of how we can help somebody do that thing, because just trying to do it clearly isn't working anymore. You see it everywhere. You see it with a lot of like different issues, especially if you go towards the politics side of things. Like that's all it is. It's this way or that way. And it's like, you do realize both of you have got elements of your argument that are literally retarded.
Yeah, like fucking. The thing is, people like short, simple, sexy answers, and that's why People don't like coaches who say it depends, and like unfortunately it does depend, and like the best answer is going to be dependent. Like there is no one answer. And the thing is as well is like people who think they have the answer for every single situation, it's like, okay, well then why do you still have problems? Why do you still have like, people will be like, oh, the answer's intensity, bro, and you'll be like, what muscle are you not happy with right now? And they'll be like, I don't like my chest or my biceps, and you're like, okay, well then you've been training it pretty hard, right? So why isn't it growing like the rest of you? You know what I mean? Like people who advocate for one single thing, and you can literally be like, hey, did you know in the past year your fucking legs have not grown? Like, why do you think that is? Yeah, you've grown a chest and back, but where the fuck is the rest of you? Have you considered that maybe those muscles are responding to your very simple ideas, and you need to nuance it for for better results? You know, or like people who think that, yeah, like eat less and move more, and it's like, how much less, how much more? Are they trying that? Are they failing that? Maybe they can't eat less. Maybe they can't move
It's
more.
not even how much less or how much more. Like, I know plenty of people that know that, but the problem is getting them to do the thing in the first place.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's where the issue comes between it being here and performing the actions. And that's what we were talking about earlier with reducing the friction and making something easier so that people can do it, and then making the things that they don't want to carry on doing, because that's what's got them to the point that they're at now,
Yeah.
harder, so that they don't do the thing.
Yeah, people saying I can't eat less or I can't move more, and then breaking that apart and being like, okay, but what barriers are we facing here that are the issue? Same for if you tell someone train harder, it's like, okay, well, maybe that is useful advice for them, but where's that going wrong? Why can't they push harder? Why can't they train harder? Can we give them some incentive? Can we program in a way that is going to allow them to pick up that slack or learn that skill? Or, like I've got a fair few clients at the minute where there's particular lifts, normally squatting ones and hinging ones, where they're really struggling to get to appropriate intensity, but they do have good quality form. So every single week, alongside check-in, we're placing like a special emphasis on like, how did this lift go? How are things progressing? Do you think that you had more? How is this going over time? And those people eventually will learn to, and people have previously learned to, take it to failure and keep their form consistent. And the opposite's true for, like, I have clients who go to failure and they don't keep their form consistent. And it will just be a case of like over time pushing that and trying to give them help and advice and different cues and ideas and programming in a way that allows them to keep things the way it should be. You see people on a press and they start like rounding forward or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, you're just involving a lot of front delt now on this chest exercise.
Let's go. Big word.
Pure serratus, bro. Serratus and front delt.
Oh my days. I think that was a good podcast.
Yeah, pretty much, bro.
What are you doing for the rest of the day?
I've had 2 inquiries, so I'm going to get back to them. And then I'm going to take King for a walk. I've got some calls with current clients, and then I'm going to chill.
What are you going to tell them? They don't want it bad enough if it's not working out.
Yeah, double the price. As soon as anyone complains, we double the price. And then, yeah, you take an upfront fee. You'd be like, oh, because signing you up is really arduous, bro. I'm going to have to charge you 3 months up front. It's really hard for me to sign you up, bro. It's just so time consuming to sign you up. It's the hardest part.
It just takes me forever. Even though I'm giving you the same program as everyone else, like, it just takes me so long to work it all out.
That always bugs me, coaches being like, setting someone up is the longest part. And it's like, yes and no, because it's going to be only so personalised. Like, I'd say the first check-in is probably the longest one, because you're literally like looking at everything. They'll be like, oh, fucking setting you up is so hard, I'm going to have to charge you 3 months up front. And it's like, that's an unnecessary amount of cash to ask for from someone. And as well, when they don't have like a refund window, and it's like, okay, you've just dropped a couple hundred on someone on their first month, and then they're not going to pay you for the next few months, so they might drop off anyway. But also, there's no guarantee that you're going to be a good coach. They've literally just given you a couple £100 for like a plan and a check-in, and then they're like, oh shit, this is wank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Within those first couple of weeks, like, okay, this thing is probably going to be this person's main problem. And this is going to be the thing that we're going to have to put the most work in. But realistically, the first plan that we put together is probably going to be the worst one we ever make for someone, because we have the least information about them.
Yeah, you're literally like going through
a good guess based off what's worked previously.
Yeah, the initial plan is probably the quickest to put together, because you're like, well, what kit is their gym got? That looks nice. That looks nice. That'll probably work well for them. It's the when you start to get into the real world of like, oh, when I train at this time, this kit's taken. This one causes me pain. This one I just don't get on with, and then you're like, fuck, now I've got to think of. Whereas when you're just looking at the gym online and you're like, oh, they've got 5 different hamstring curl machines. Which one am I going to give them? Well, I'm just going to pick a couple out that I think are going to be best. Whereas when they're like, okay, there's 5 ham curl machines and I hate all 5, and the dumbbells are taken and the barbells are taken, then you're like, okay, now I have to get quite creative. So that initial plan, I'd say,
no, they just don't make bad enough to go to the gym.
I'd say that initial plan is like, yeah, it's time consuming, but it's not the most time consuming part that you have to put together. It's normally as well, like if they get sick of multiple lifts and you put together a whole new plan, or if you completely change priority, if they're like, I want to squat, bench, deadlift, and you're like, okay, now we've got to rewrite the whole thing, and you've got to bear in mind all the feedback they've given you from the previous one. What'd you say?
Tell them they can't.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, tell them they can't. Squat,
yeah, exactly.
It's
I'm a
not
bodybuilder. I'm a bodybuilder, so you're not allowed to do anything other than bodybuilding. Sorry. Sorry, I don't.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, I don't squat, bench, or deadlift, so you're not allowed to either because it doesn't agree with me, so it must not agree with you. Sorry.
What were you benching the other day?
Close grip, bro.
Oh, close grip. Right.
Yeah, 100 for 6, not too shabby.
Shut up. Do you want to know something funny to round off the podcast?
Go on then, darling.
You know how my back gets proper hairy?
Yeah.
You seen that? I tried to shave it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking when I tell you there's this strip in the middle that I can't get. I'm like,
Mate, attach
it's
a
so
razor.
annoying.
Attach
And
a
I'm,
razor
like,
to a
trying
stick.
Out my lat to get it. I just
Attach
can't
your,
get it, man.
Mate, attach your razor to a stick and just fucking.
I've
it
got a
done.
back scratcher, so I might actually do that. They're so good, man. Have you ever had one?
Yeah, I've got one somewhere. They are great.
Best thing ever. Love it. Love it. Right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to this incredible episode of the Catabolic Window podcast. Jack's going to find out what episode it is next week because we are getting close to our 1 year anniversary of embracing your streams with our sexy faces. So I hope you've all enjoyed it.
This is episode 48.
48. Okie dokie. As always, coach inquiries, link in the bio. Jack's already had 2 today, so you're not allowed to inquire with him. You have to inquire with me this week.
Yeah, we're full. I only have 2 clients at any one point, and so we're full now. So if you want to inquire, I'll have.
What, has everyone left you?
Yeah, exactly. No, as soon as I get an inquiry, I kick someone off. I just keep to 2 clients.
Sorry, bro, you're too much of a pain in the ass, so fuck off.
I'll be like, oh, what, you had a photo shoot? Sorry, mate. You can piss off. Sorry, mate.
You're really struggling managing hunger after that photo shoot. No, sorry, see you later.
Yeah, the prep's done, bro. Piss off. I just diet him, get him really flat, and then I don't peak him, and I just go fuck off. Like a week before, no peaking.
Learn to peak themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Just eat more carbs, bro. Just eat more carbs.
Just eat more.
Just eat more.
Have loads of foods that don't digest very well. So when we do Jack's peak week, we're going to give him onions and garlic 2 days out. It's gonna be great.
I will be peaking off of mushrooms, bro.
Oh, yeah. Right, end this shit. I need to go and train legs.
All right, bro. Have a good one.